Hey everyone, welcome to History 17B CCAP, which is my high school dual enrollment history course. I am your instructor, Mrs. Mendez, coming at you from my home while I drink coffee in Madeira. So in these orientation videos, we're going to go through the course syllabus in 3 different videos, and then there's a separate section that has the course schedule that doesn't have a video attached because it's pretty self-explanatory. So you guys are taking History 17B, which is the second section of U.S. history. The course begins on Monday the 29th and ends on May 24th, which I believe actually is before the end of your regular semester for high school. So please do pay attention to that. Now, make sure you understand that the college schedule may not match your high school schedule. This is a completely online class, so no requirement to come to campus at all. The exams are all online. The next section of the syllabus goes over, let me just pause this for a second because I need to move it down a little bit. It goes over my contact information. I'm on screen. There it goes. Okay. So you guys have my cell phone number, and it's fine to go ahead and call and text if you have any questions. Just try to, if it's after 9 o'clock, stick to the Canvas messaging instead of texting. And it can always help you out in the morning. And then also, if you send me a text, make sure you include your name and that you're a History 17B CCAP student, because I teach multiple courses every semester. And then underneath that, you'll see my tutoring / office hours. These are hours, the term office hours always throws students for a loop. They think that's when we're in our office working. That's not what it means. It's the hours that we have to be available for students. Now, if these hours don't work for you, I can make time after, outside of these hours. We can schedule a Zoom session or a phone conversation. So it doesn't mean these are the only hours that you can reach me, but these are definite hours when I'm available to students, either by Zoom or face-to-face. So those are the hours. They say whether it's Zoom or face-to-face. I'm at the Los Banos campus of Merced College, which is at the would be on the north end, I think, of Los Banos, and I'm in B118. The next is the course description. So this is a survey history course. That means we don't go into anything in a ton of depth. We just we hit the surface level of U.S. history all the way from Reconstruction to the present. So it's a huge chunk of history. If you go on and take a history course when you transfer into like junior, senior year at the university, they focus in on like just the Great Depression. So you'd have an entire class that really goes into the depth of the Great Depression, or the Revolutionary War or World War II. So this is instead a giant chunk of U.S. history, and we skim the surface of it, and we do our best to try to give you some basic understanding of common themes, be they political, cultural, right, and then major significant events. The next section is the course learning outcomes, and you may see these in the syllabus labeled SLO, A, B, or C, or sometimes there says 1, 2, 3, which is just referring to the same SLOs. So these are the kind of the major things you're supposed to get by the end of the semester, supposed to be able to master by the end of the semester. The first one probably is the one that students struggle with the most, and it's evaluating primary source documents. So if you were taking an AP class, they would refer to these assignments like DBQ, which refers to document-based questions. So all that means is you are reviewing sources, letters, speeches, government documents, those types of things that are produced during the time period we're studying. So instead of being produced after the fact, 50, 60 years later, they are produced by people who are living in that time, experiencing that event. And so they give us in a particular perspective of an event or a time period in history from people who actually experienced it, right? And so primary source documents are actually the evidence that historians use to try to piece together, what happened and what were different groups thinking, what was their perspective on different historical events and eras. And obviously the problem with primary source documents is they're biased because they're one person or one group's perspective. And so really to do history justice, you need to look at a wide variety of documents, to get a better sense of what is going on. And then your textbook is a secondary source. So it's written after the fact, right? It tells the story, if you will, of U.S. history. And again, Conlon, your author, he relies on, the expertise he's gathered studying history, other secondary source books, and then also primary source documents to gather enough evidence and research to write kind of a retelling of U.S. history. But it's a secondary source, right? So your goal here is to, in this learning outcome, is to learn what it is to be a historian a little bit, to learn how to analyze and examine primary source documents and try to glean from them what they tell us about a particular event, a particular time period, or a particular person or group's perspective of an event or a time period. So you guys will be doing this in the weekly discussion boards, and then you'll also be doing a paper for this class called an analysis paper, where you really just, you examine and analyze a document in a little bit more depth. It's like a 3 to 4 pages, fairly short paper. And then the second two are really, these are big learning outcomes. There's a lot to them, right? So the second one, it says analyze major political trends, attitudes, conflicts, and events in U.S. history for their historical significance. I sometimes call it the, why should we give a crap question? What does it matter? What is its place in larger, U.S. history or world history or human history? We're looking at these events not as separate, distinct events per se, but as events that connect to larger trends, themes, ideas, ideologies, and so on and so forth, and what they can tell us about U.S. history. And then also the last one has the same thing, historical significance. It says assess major social and cultural developments in the U.S., their causes, effects, and their historical significance. So you'll see this come out a lot in the short and long essay questions. The short essay questions are term definitions, where I ask you to define a person, an idea, an event, and then discuss its historical significance. And then also you may see both B and C in the essay questions, where you may be looking at, for example, the causes and the effects of, say, World War II, for example, right? Okay, the last little part we're going to go over in this first orientation is the required course material. You folks, I believe for the most part, are being supplied the textbook. The high schools are paying for it, and you guys are accessing it through, it's called Follett Access. Follett Access is a program that if you weren't taking a CCAP, if you're taking a regular non-CCAP, non-dual enrollment college course, you could purchase all your books through Follett at a cost of $25 per unit. So again, because you guys are taking a CCAP class, this fee is generally covered by the high schools. And we're going to use a platform called Brightwave, which you can see on the left-hand side of your screen when in Canvas, in our Canvas shell, to access the ebook. Here is one little just food for thought. Just a heads up, it can get tricky if you're a high schooler, because we do have high school students who are taking dual enrollment CCAP courses that are essentially, organized, and you participate in them through the high school. And then we have other students who are enrolled as high school students, but not in CCAP courses. And so what gets tricky is that if you're also taking classes that are not what quote unquote dual enrollment, then outside of that, you are responsible for the cost of the books, is my understanding. And so what becomes tricky is that if you decide to opt out of Follett, so if you opt out of Follett in a non-CCAP course, what this means is you're going to go buy the textbook on your own because you find it's cheaper. You don't want to pay the $25 per unit, and it's cheaper for you to just go buy the book on your own, right? But if you opt out of Follett, my understanding is then that also it's an all-in or all-out thing. It also opts you out of the Follett Access program for this course if you're a CCAP student. And so you just want to be aware of that. Now, my understanding is I've heard that there's a way around that. If you contact me, I can contact the bookstore and they can get you put back in. So just be aware, generally, I don't think most of you are going to run into any problems. Most of you probably are just taking a CCAP course. You're not enrolled in a separate course as just a high school student, and or you are and you're just staying in the Follett program and there's no issues. But if you do run into issues, make sure you let me know, you call the bookstore and you ask questions before you opt out of the Follett program. Okay, but the textbook we're using is called The American Past. It's by Joseph Conlin. And then we also will be reading a couple chapters from Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, but this one is available online for free, so you don't have to purchase this one, and I'll let you know if we read a chapter out of it. So those are our two textbooks. One of them costs. You'll use Brightwave. That's the Conlin book. Most of you, again, the high school's picking up the tab. And then the second one is a free ebook. Okay, I'm going to pause here, and you're going to scroll down and you're going to click on next, and then the next video we'll go through course recommendations and expectations.